Get excited.
I was always really good at taking standardized tests when I was young, like the 99th percentile. I think because I was well learned and the questions that were asked when I was very young were always very straightforward. There was always a clear right and wrong answer among the multiple choice of 4. But in the latter half of middle school and then into high school, I realized that standardized tests became a lot harder for me. And it wasn't because I was less learned than I was before, it was because the way that my mind works, if I'm asked a question and given answer choices, I always try to take each option to their utmost logical conclusion. So the difference between me answering questions in elementary school and the beginning of middle school versus the end of it and in high school is that when you get into high school, the questions are more subjective. You're not looking for the correct answer per se, you're looking for the best choice out of a few. And for me, I could reason a lot of different answers are the best in their own way. And that's the trouble with subjectivity. It takes a long time to find the right or correct angle to consider something. But of course, as an adult, you don't get standardized tests, you just get problems, and you get things that you have to make decisions on. And through all of my decision making and all of my success and striving and struggles, I came to a question that I asked myself time and again, that I couldn't find the right angle to answer. What if I lose it all? From time to time, this question would come to me in my adulthood. I've wondered, what if I lose my job, or all my friends, or my car, or I get evicted? What will I have left? What would I be able to do? What if all of these material possessions disappear? The reality is, if any of these things were to happen, I don't have much to fall back on. So I couldn't find a conclusive answer. But then I saw a video of Adrienne Bailon on a talk show. She said about her career that when she wasn't sure what was going to come next, she felt like she had lost everything that she had struggled for. But she reminded herself that she could always go home, back to New York, where she's from. And for a long time, that gave me a lot of hope, and that answered my question. Remembering that even if I fail at everything, I can still go back to the place where I was born, back to the city and the people that raised me. Yet, sometime later, I came to the realization that even that place may be unhospitable to me. So the question remains, what will I do? I didn't have a good answer for a long time. I would imagine and wonder, but before I dove too deep into nihilistic thought patterns, I came across an anime that helped me answer my question. An anime that I thought originally wasn't for me. That anime was Dr. Stone. Dr. Stone is an anime about a boy named Senku, a scientist, and what he did when he was brought suddenly into a stone world. Stone World answers the question, what if we all went back to the Stone Age? What if all of our technology and all of our advancements disappeared? In the first episode of Dr. Stone, we see Senku and his friends in high school, and suddenly and without warning, a marvelous bright green light fills the air and turns every living being to stone. Senku wakes up over 2,000 years later alone, naked, and in a world devoid of everything he had known and loved. But Senku didn't give up. What the audience finds out about Senku in his first episode is that he's an inventor. He has a genius-level intellect, and inside of his head, while he was turned into stone, he counted, second after second, and by some miracle, he was released from his stone prison and brought back to life. And in addition to his ability to stay alert for thousands of years, in his mind, he had everything he needed scientifically: the history of science, breakthroughs, an understanding of mechanics, an understanding of biology and medicine, the knowledge of plants and animals, and the foundation of the scientific method through which he could find the solution to any problem with which to survive. And with all of this, he made his way. His cunning, his intellect, kept him alive and warm. With it, he kept himself fed and clothed until he found a way to awaken his dear friend from his slumber as well, a feat that took 6 months to do. So with his friend Taiju away, he started on the path of reviving everyone he could, his dream being to reset the world back to where it was, waking everyone up from their stone sleep. He created tools and instruments, he developed medicine and first aid, he had food, he created soap, and he developed the solution necessary for releasing petrified people from their stone prisons. Senku went through a lot of trials. He had to fight really hard to get where he wanted. He had to convince people that the way of science is the way to revive everything that they loved about their world before it was petrified. He had to fight illness and enemies who had different views about what the world should be. But one thing he never fought was his own ambition. Senku was never afraid to go further, to think harder, to dream of something bigger and more unimaginable, to bring back to life from the world that was no more. In a world that had barely developed a horn to amplify a voice, Senku dreamed of using a cell phone, so he created a phone. In a world that only knew fishing, he made noodles. In a world that only knew water to drink, to refresh, and to heal, Senku dreamed of medicine for the sick, and he dreamed of cola to drink. And so he made it. Because the one thing that could triumph all of the mountains in his way was the knowledge of science that was locked inside of his head and heart. In this lies the great hope of Dr. Stone. Every time I watched it, every time I tuned into a new episode and saw Senku discover for the first time, after 2,000 years, some scientific marvel, it made me hope. Every time he identified a different raw material from the dust on the ground, a useful material to create something amazing, it gave me hope. Whenever Senku used science to win someone over to his side of thinking, by showing them the majesty of science, by making them see that it was science that gave us music, it's science that lets us play it from a little device in our pockets. It is science that helped us produce new and marvelous things to eat. The reason why cuisine is more than just cooked meats, fruits, and root vegetables. All of these little wonderful things that he created gave me hope. While he came up with new ideas, he was 10 billion% sure it would work out because he knew the laws. He knew the way to find out even things that he wasn't sure of. The knowledge that's within you, having the resources to find out what you don't know, is its own type of hope. The knowledge that you've learned something that will help you through something, if you could only follow the process to remember it, to utilize it, is its own hope. Dr. Stone reminded me through Senku and the kingdom of science how miraculous this world is, and how deeply rich my gifts and blessings truly are. Not that I have so much more than anyone else, but to know that within me is everything I need to be well. When my phone dies, while I'm on the road, I can still use maps and signs to get to where I need to go. When there's a hole in my pocket, I know how to use a needle and thread to mend it. When my lights go out and all my electricity is gone, I can still play music with my harmonica to create more light inside me. When my door is squeaky, I know the petroleum jelly in my lip balm can fix it. And when I'm hungry for French toast, I can substitute boxed pancake mix to make something just as custardy. And if I lose everything I have and I cannot go home, I can get up on my feet and use everything I've learned and seen in the world, in nature, to make sure that I'm good. I've heard it said in a movie that at a certain level, science is indistinguishable from magic. And I suppose that's true, but what I've learned from Dr. Stone, an anime that I find to be one of the most hopeful animes that I've ever seen is that there's a scientific explanation for most things. In fact, that's the key premise of the show, to disprove the apparent magic that caused the entire world to turn to stone. So perhaps, maybe not magic, but on the other hand, I did hear in another movie a long time ago that magic is actually quite simple. All you have to do is want something and then let yourself have it. So, in that way, Dr. Stone is quite magical, quite scientific, quite miraculous. Because as Dr. Stone shows, all you have to use to get by is everything that you already have inside. So with that, we shall all have the answer.
俺らは宇宙に行く。速攻で行く。